What's up, guys? Barrett Freeman here with the PropertyTales podcast. Your host. I'm here with Kailee Baker. We at Freeman Brothers Realty, we manage rental properties. We sell houses. We help investors. We help residential. We help everyday people buy and sell their property. So if you need any of that, give me a call. And I'll let Kailee kind of introduce herself as well.
Hi, I'm Kailee Baker. I work at the Powder Room Salon in Corbin. I do hair, makeup, color, cuts, and then I also do makeup for commercials, prom, bridal, formal events, stuff like that. So
Commercials? What kind of commercials?
actually, the only commercials I've ever done is for the Freeman Brothers. So
Yeah. What was that experience like for you?
different, but I really enjoyed it actually.
Well, you're young.
Yes.
I didn't know how old you were when I hired you. A friend of mine, you did their prom
Yes.
pictures, or what I guess it was pictures, or maybe it was them going to prom. And
Yes.
so, it's hard to find makeup people because they're either overly booked and you can't get in the door,
Yeah.
or they're not good and they're not consistent.
That's
By
true.
good, I mean like you plan for like a month for them to show up for an event, then
And
they
then
just
they cancel.
cancel or
Yeah.
ghost. I've had people just not show up, not answer phones, not answer texts, to the point where it was almost like I had to have a plan B for any time I was done with the creative,
Yes. That's
And-
difficult.
and that's also across the board. So, anyway, how'd you get into makeup?
So I've been doing makeup for a while. I am self-taught just from videos and stuff like that. But I started doing makeup on other people probably in high school, just here and there, just for fun. And then I decided I wanted to make it kind of like my career whenever I was in cosmetology school.
So you did do cosmetology school,
Yes.
and that's different from makeup school.
It's the same, but they mainly taught hair. I never really learned about, I didn't really learn how to do makeup in cosmetology school. So it was mainly cutting, haircuts, color, stuff like that.
So, what was the first thing you made money on doing this?
Okay, well, the first thing I made, like a bigger chunk of money on is my first wedding that I did. And then that's when I realized I wanted to start doing more and more weddings. And makeup is the reason I love doing hair and I love doing makeup, but makeup is more fast money than hair is, kind of, in a way.
But it's
Like-
also feast and famine, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like seasonal.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Like prom day, I make a good amount of money, but there's some days where I'll get cancellations throughout the week, stuff like that. And it's hard to know. Sometimes it's inconsistent, which can be difficult.
What's the slowest part of the year?
I don't know. I feel like for me it changes where I'm still new. I'm still building a clientele, but I feel like the first of the year is pretty inconsistent. Like January, stuff like that.
I
But
think most industries would agree with you
yeah.
that January's just slow. It's almost like the hangover month. Like
Yes.
nobody's excited that it's the beginning of the new year. Everybody's doing their New Year's resolution, usually going to the gym, losing weight, not drinking.
Yes, exactly.
So January's just not fun
for
for
at
anyone.
least a week they do that.
There's no holidays during that month. It's
No.
just straight going through. So, so how long have you been doing makeup?
I've been doing makeup. I've been making money on makeup for about almost 2 years now, but I've always been interested in makeup. I've always watched YouTube videos, doing weird, crazy makeup on myself in my bedroom at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, always interested in that kind of stuff, but I don't really have like an exact time stamp on how long I've been doing it. Just kind of here and there and as like a side hobby for a long time.
How do you look?
I don't know. How do I look? Do I look crazy because my makeup?
Awesome. You look awesome.
Okay.
All right. So what's your makeup routine when you are wanting to look your best?
When I'm wanting to look my best, okay, so right now I'm kind of doing my everyday makeup routine. So usually I'd start out with foundation, but today I just started out with some concealer and contour, cream contour. But typically I'd put like a layer of foundation under this. If you know what I'm talking about, you probably have
A
no
little
idea.
bit, because I'm doing media creation, and you've
Yes.
put makeup on me many times. So,
That is true.
and I do actually have a morning and evening, like, skin routine.
Yes, you've told me that.
Because I want to make sure I wasn't spinning my wheels. Like if
Yeah.
I'm doing something redundant, or if I was doing something in the wrong order, that it was just kind of canceling the other out.
Yes,
So,
exactly. Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Yeah. So, all right, what do you do after that?
So typically, I go in with my creams first, and then after that, I go in with powder on top of this.
What are you doing right now?
Just blending out my cream contour, but just making me look more tan because I'm terribly pale right now.
I'm still doing the throw everything against the wall and see what works.
Yes.
And YouTube seems to like this stuff. Do you ever watch videos like this where they're...
Yes, I do.
What do they call this? I think it's...
I'm not completely sure what like a different name for it would be.
There is. It's a genre called, like... watch...
I feel like you can hear me breathing.
I can't. 'Cause you can hear yourself. That's why the headphones.
I'm like, oh god.
Watch a person put makeup on
Oh,
and talk on YouTube. We'll both be like, duh.
yeah. I watched this one girl. You were telling me about her too. She tells
True crime.
yes, she tells like true crime stories and does her makeup at the same time. And her background's always really cool, like scary stuff. I love it. I love her videos.
I guess, so the video is just called Makeup and Talk.
Yeah.
But that's...
Or like a Get Ready With Me.
Get Ready, that's what it's called. Get Ready With Me. That was what I was
Yeah.
trying... I researched that. And it's a huge, obviously, genre.
Oh, it's a huge thing. Yes, it's all over TikTok and everything.
All right, so... you're renting with a roommate, and your landlord's Yale Albright.
Yes.
So how many bedrooms is that?
2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom.
And what's your rent?
$900, so we each pay $300.
How much room is there in that unit?
I feel like it's a decent sized for 3 people. I don't think we would need anything much bigger.
So what was the process of finding that like?
Honestly. Okay. Well, my parents moved, and so I was looking for a place anyways before that. And it was cheap. I mean, I went and looked at it before.
But did you have a friend that already had it?
My friend lived in the same apartment, like complex, but just a different apartment with a 1-bedroom.
Same landlord?
Yes.
Okay, so you had that. They said, "Oh, my landlord has something."
Yes, basically.
Did you want to live in London, or was that just where your friend was?
That's just kind of what ended up happening. I didn't really care or have a preference.
What's your drive like to work?
Not very bad, like 20 minutes.
That's bad for rural
It's
areas.
definitely different than what I'm used to, for sure.
Because you were living in the same town as your work before.
Yes.
And so, as an outsider, had you heard of our rental companies before?
Yes.
Did you, before you started doing makeup work for us?
Yes.
That's good.
Just from, your all's advertisements and billboards and stuff, I definitely had seen.
Yeah, and the reason I wanted you on the podcast, well, for a lot of reasons. A, I thought this would be you'd be a neat person to talk to because of doing the makeup while you talk.
Yes.
But what does it feel like on the outside as far as someone trying to find a place to rent in this area?
Difficult. I feel like everything's so expensive. But I don't feel like, I don't feel like it's hard to find a place. I feel like there's a bunch of places. Honestly, if I'm being honest, my boyfriend did most of the looking for me. But
That's highly unusual. 9 times out of 10 with us, we're talking to the girl.
yeah.
It's like the boyfriend or husband leaves everything to whatever the wife or girlfriend wants.
Yeah. I wasn't just going to be like, yeah, this is fine, we'll do this. But I had to see it first before. And then I was like, okay, this isn't bad.
We talk to guys that first time they're seeing the unit is when they're moving in. Like, it's so like, here, honey, take care of it. I'm too busy.
Yeah.
Even though this is literally where you're going to be like sleeping and spending a lot of time. It doesn't make any sense to me. But I'm also one of those guys that wants to make all the decisions anyway.
Yes. I was skeptical at first. And then when I went and seen the apartment, I was fine with it.
So, do your friends have the same kind of perspective on the Southeastern Kentucky rental market. Like, what is it? Is it low inventory, high price? What does it feel like?
I honestly don't know. This is the first apartment I've ever lived in. I've always lived with my parents. So.
Well, how long did it take from your decision to rent to when you were able to move in?
Probably like a month or two.
Okay, and what were you doing during that time? Shopping around?
Just looking online, basically, is all we were doing. Nothing. It wasn't like we were too rushed, if that makes sense.
Well, it sounds like you were able to take your time.
Yeah.
The worst position to be in buying or anything or renting is being rushed. Because all of a sudden you get a unit you don't want, or you may be stretching your budget because it's too expensive.
Yeah, like, I don't feel like it's difficult to find a place. I just think, I mean, there was places that we saw that we liked, but this one just happened to be cheaper and happened to be a good size for us to be able to all kind of do what we needed to do.
Well, I will brag on you. That is really good rent for your age and for your job right now. Most young people stretch it. And then all of a sudden, 5 months into the lease, they're calling us saying they need to move because they can't afford rent anymore. And that sucks for everyone. It sucks for them because they're scared. They don't know what that actually means. You know, like, am I going to get evicted? Am I going to get my deposit back? You know, and that deposit's a big deal. You know, you want your deposit back. And, you know, just confusion of, like, how things work.
Yeah.
So if someone says, I need to move, I can't afford rent anymore, we do everything we can to work with them. That being said, I mean, we have to get our money.
Exactly.
I was about to say, like, you know, maybe we give them rent concessions, but we don't because it's not fair. So it's almost rewarding people for not paying rent on time.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, well, if you can't pay $900, well, can you do $800? It's better for our business model to do it that way because when someone moves out, we lose that month's rent. We have to clean up the apartment because people always leave the apartments in gross.
Yeah.
When they're breaking the lease, it's like they get out overnight and just leave a bunch of junk. Then we got to re-rent it. So we're out all this money when somebody leaves early. So it makes sense for us to be like, well, can you do less? But then the neighbor hears that. So, as, you know, it makes sense. Like it's called being like penny smart, dollar dumb. Like, you know, if we just let them have a concession, it would save us some money. But in the long run, people would know all you got to do is not pay rent for 1 month, and all of a sudden you get lower rent.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult you know, situation.
The people that lived in the apartment that we moved into, we moved in June. The people that lived there before us destroyed like everything, like the toilet, left nasty whatever on the wall. So we got new appliances because they destroyed everything because they got evicted for not paying rent.
And you hate that for JL.
Or maybe it wasn't for not paying rent. Maybe it was for they were really loud. I'm not completely sure, but I know that it was bad.
It's usually at many factors. It's those people that aren't paying rent are usually, I don't want. There's a whole lot of people that watch this that have probably been evicted before. Have you ever been evicted before?
No.
Because this is your first renting experience.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to say anything to offend anyone that's been evicted because there's a lot of reasons why people get evicted. You know, like someone gets sick or loses their job. So I got to be careful with that. But I just think it's poor planning when people get evicted.
Everyone's circumstance is different, I guess.
It is. So that's why my instinct is to criticize, but because I've never.
I feel like that's everybody's.
I'd like to be judgy of like someone being evicted.
Yes.
I mean, I've had friends that have been evicted in my life. I don't know if you have, but
I'm sure. Like I said, I can't really say much on the
the broader market perspective.
Or like renting or anything really for that matter, just because this is my first apartment. And
that's interesting, you know.
I've never had to like look for a place, you know. I've always just kind of been like had a place and never have had to worry about that.
Did you start online?
Yes.
Did you just Google apartments in Corbin, London?
Basically.
Did our stuff come up a lot?
Yes, it did.
Are you just saying that because you know us, or
no?
I'm saying like, did your brain see it because you're like, oh, I know those guys?
Oh yes.
You know.
Yeah. Whenever I would be like, oh yeah, Barrett, whatever. Whenever we'd see your all's places and stuff.
I'm not a bad person to know when you need to rent a place too. I mean, I think does it feel like we have the market cornered?
Yes.
Because I think we do.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like you guys advertise more. I've seen your advertisements and everything everywhere, like everywhere.
Online and physical.
Yes, especially around here.
Well, in sales, you have to scream into the void.
Yeah.
So you're in sales. I mean, what are you doing to draw in customers?
I post a lot on my Instagram page because that's a lot of my aged like people. But I also so I have a beauty page, and then I share all my stuff on my beauty page on my real Instagram account.
What is that? And I'll put it. I'll tag you in there.
My beauty Instagram is just at Kailee Beauty, Kailee, and then I also post a lot on the Powder Room Facebook page and just my regular Facebook.
You didn't really know a lot about me before we did the TV commercials, but I want to talk about that a little bit because it was the biggest project that we've done together.
Yes, that was fun.
Did your expectations match what was going on that day when you showed up?
Yes, it did. I thought I was kind of shocked by all the cameras, all the people, actors, everything. But I thought it was really cool. It was a neat experience.
I think the actors would agree. I didn't because
you had them audition, didn't you? Yeah. That's cool.
We got lucky. We had a great turnout, and we got to pick our favorite ones. I mean, everybody was great, but we only needed so many, so unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that was really fun. But I don't know what did I tell you before going in? Do you remember? It's like we're doing TV commercials.
You were just like, we're probably gonna be here for like all day long, and you were just like playing on all day, and I was like, okay, I'll be there. I was up for anything, really.
Were you nervous at all?
You
didn't seem like it. You were definitely the pro there, and the actors were nervous. And I even like
the actors were nervous. I remember.
Could you tell?
Yes, some of them.
So Melissa just kind of stays in a state of nervousness, but
I love Melissa. She's so sweet.
But her, I think her like default state of life is nervous. And I'm always putting her in these horrible situations.
You are. You do that to her.
I wish you could have seen the Ferriston. She was so scared I had to push her through it.
Oh, I also like the the hot wing challenge you did at Breeze. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was right when we started doing content.
Yes.
Sorry. I ought to repost that now that back then I only had like 10,000 followers. We have 40,000 followers as I counted today.
Yes, you told me that. That's crazy.
So I was rounding up before if I'd said 40,000 because last month we had 36,000, and then I always count like after the first week of the month I'll go and just look, and I'll admit 40,100 today. So
yeah.
Anyway, back then I only had like 10. I should repost that because I would get a lot more reach and a lot more excitement. The problem is that restaurant doesn't exist anymore.
Yes, I remember you telling me that.
So what's your 2-year plan with work and not love or anything like that? Because who knows? Unless you have a 2-year love plan. Get married 3 months into my first pregnancy.
Yeah, exactly. My work plan is really just to build clientele. I don't know if I want to live here forever. It's just, I don't know where my brain's going to be at in a year from now, so it's hard to really say.
Well, every person in a small town that does your job has the same challenges.
Yes.
And have the same thoughts. What are some of the challenges doing makeup and hair in a small town?
Well, when I first started out, it was hard to build a clientele.
Yeah, so that's the same with like being a lawyer or being a landlord. Like you get your first house or apartment and you're like, I have to get this rented. I owe the bank payment in 4 weeks. So like you cut corners, you don't do the background checks, you don't do the things you need to do to make sure you've got a quality renter. My life's so much happier now that we can have higher standards of our renters.
Yes.
And our standards aren't even that high. I mean, we don't have like a credit score requirement. You just can't have anything in collections. You can't have a dog over 35 pounds. And you can't have a violent felony in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's pretty low standard.
I feel like that is definitely low standard.
Unfortunately, that's one of the biggest questions we get is like, I'm a felon. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, we'd be run out of town if we let a violent felon, even the nicest person on the planet with the best excuse ever, if his neighbor with 4 kids, they're going to be so mad at us.
Yes, exactly. That is, I wouldn't have never even thought about something like that.
And it comes out so fast. I've had we've had people slip through the cracks years ago, back when we were first learning how to do all that, and we had a woman that was a felon, and it was 7 years before, and we did a background check, but it didn't come up. An attorney in town just knew about it and called us and was like, by the way, just give me a heads up, this woman is a felon, and fortunately she was in a house and not like an apartment complex.
Yes.
So we didn't do anything with the information, but that did scare us, because it's hard enough to find renters, and if they think that we're letting people in with doing drugs or violent, they're not going to rent from us.
Yeah.
In a small town, rumors fly like crazy. Word of mouth is the biggest driver of business in our business anyway.
Yes.
That's not true, I guess. Maybe online is probably the biggest, but word of mouth is so big. So word
of mouth is big.
What have I missed as far as your routine? I actually have not been paying attention. I've been just thinking about our conversation.
I'm on my last part, so I'm on lipstick, which is good because I look crazy. I feel like I've been trying not to look really dumb on making these ugly faces.
I don't know how you did your eyelashes and didn't mess it up, because you're having to stay off the mirror, and it's just it's like you're surgically put it on.
Well, I'm sitting here trying to not open my mouth really wide and look really stupid.
But is that what you're doing at home?
Yeah, I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this is kind of like my everyday makeup. But if I want to, sometimes I'll put eyelashes or something if I'm pictures, whatever.
What about your hair?
Honestly, I don't do much to my hair. I usually straighten it or curl it.
You're very lucky. You've got really thick, healthy hair.
Thank you.
I'm very grateful for mine, because the older you get, the more you even see girls that have thinning hair.
Yes.
And, but yes, definitely guys. So I'm very grateful I have thick hair and don't have to worry about balding, at least for now.
Yes.
Do you have any balding in your family?
No, actually. My family is pretty lucky with that, I feel like. My mom has super thick hair, and so does my dad.
What about grays?
Okay, my mom doesn't have any gray hair, and neither does my Nana, so hopefully I'll be lucky with that. But
my dad is white, but he was blonde. So thanks for joining us. This has been another episode of PropertyTales Podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Cute, awesome.
All right.